Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way. It's Ross County 1, Celtic 2 reaction. Rodgers' side are all right as Kuhn and Johnston deliver in Dingwall. They went behind in this game thanks to a converted penalty from Ronan Hale. Some funny comments from Rodgers after the game about Ronan Hale's supposed allegiances to Celtic, but he originally got his penalty saved by Kasper Schmeichel, but he was well off his line. The Danish goalkeeper was off his line, and Ronan Hale stepped up and sent him to the keeper's right. His left, and scored a good penalty. So Celtic had it all to do, and in the second half they got it sorted. Goals, just about. It came off of it. There seems to be something going on with Celtic's hips at the moment, because Daizen Maeda scored from his hip during the week, and Alistair Johnston scored from his hip today off a Callum McGregor strike. And then it was Johnston was the goal scorer, and then he became the provider as he passed the ball through to Nicholas Kuhn. Nicholas Kuhn cut inside, played a lovely side-footed finish past Ross Laidlaw in the Ross County goal. Tony, how are you doing today? How are you doing? Another 3 points for Celtic. I think it's a big relief. It's relief more than joy at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the major takeaway from that, isn't it? It was just relief, because it looked for a while that it wasn't coming. But a couple of people point out in the comments there, the manager pointed out as well, they showed great resilience, they showed a depth of character, and Nicholas Kuhn, 14 goal contributions, 6 goals, 8 assists, great finish for his goal. And he even said he was aware that had he played it to Kyogo, he would have been in an offside position. So that shows he's thinking all the time as he's running through there. So loved that. Didn't think Johnston had a particularly good game today, but he said 2 major contributions. The goal coming off his hip, waist, side, call it what you like, and the pass for Kuhn's winning goal's exquisite. But yeah, just delighted to get down the road with all 3 points, Ryan, and I think wasn't a vintage classic from Celtic, and just file it under the 3 points could be crucial come the end of the season.
Yep. 3 points and move on and put the pressure on the rivals that are currently playing at this moment in time. I think it's 2 each just now between Aberdeen and Hearts, though people can correct us in the comments as we go along and see if anything changes. Seems like one hell of a game that's going on at Tynecastle. Is it Pittodrie? No, Pittodrie. It's Pittodrie, yeah. They were doing the TIFO before the game. Yeah, 2 each just now. Thank you, Natalie, for that. Yeah, it's all about putting that scoreboard pressure. Rangers obviously play later on tonight against St Johnstone at home at Ibrox. So it was all about Celtic getting the win today and applying that scoreboard pressure. A win was not guaranteed for large parts of today, that's for sure. Although we were pretty confident that Celtic would make the chances that would come through. They were completely dominant in the game. The stats in the first half had the 80-20 in terms of possession for Celtic. Loads of passes to go along with that. But they just didn't have that killer touch. And I thought there was about easily 6 or 7 players that were off their game, most notably, and unfortunately I have to bring him up. We praise him when he plays well, but you've got to criticise him when he doesn't play well. Arne Engels just was not at the races today whatsoever. His second poor performance in a week. He's a player that needs the international break, maybe needs to go away with Belgium and rediscover himself ever so slightly. But he wasn't the only one today. There was loads of players that just did not have good performances. Either that or they didn't get the service, but thankfully they got the job done.
We go through the team. Vai showed up well, especially second half where he's more positionally aware, right? Trusty was okay. Scales was decent. He's starting to look like a confident player. Handball aside, they get given, they don't. And Johnston, what we spoke about, wasn't particularly great, but he had 2 valid contributions. And so you get into the midfield. McGregor was the best of the 3 midfielders, but it wasn't a high bar set by Engels or Hatate, who could have came off at any time.
Yeah, Hatate was anonymous.
That's right. Yeah, 2 of them were anonymous. Up front, Ida doesn't get any service. You can't score goals if you don't get service. Frustrating day for him. And then we had a debate, didn't we, about which winger you took off, and you said you would keep Kuhn on, which turned out to be the right decision. And the tempo was raised when McCowan and Bernardo came onto the park, but it couldn't be anything other than raised, Ryan, because Engels and Hatate were passengers. As I say, McGregor drove the team forward, but he can't do it himself all the time. It's his wayward shot that's deflected in by Johnston, but at least Callum McGregor was trying to drive the team forward, in an attacking sense and a creative sense. But that changed when McCowan and Bernardo came on. So we got more freedom of expression, and I thought they both did really, really well. Kyogo came on, and I don't remember him having a real valid touch. I know Maeda missed a sitter before he went off, didn't he? Smacked it into the goalkeeper's chest. So the subs were brought on for a reason, and they contributed, right, and I'm really happy about that. And I did say in my predicted 11s, my heart was saying, my head was saying Hatate, my heart was saying McCowan. I just thought it was his kind of game today, and hindsight's a great thing, but I probably would have and should have played him from the start, because I just feel that, he's a kind of guy that horses for courses, and I think he was particularly hot, but I try to give Hatate the benefit of the doubt, but Hatate, like Engels today, was poor, really poor.
The midfield is opening up for McCowan, in my opinion, in terms of current form. He's a bit unlucky that the international breaks probably came at the wrong time for him, because I think if there was to be a domestic game, he would be starting.
Yes.
He would be starting the next game. He wins now, there's been quite a bit of debate after the game on whether or not it was a foul on Luke McCowan. Like, at the end of the day, it was given, and that was it. So, I think people have to just get used to that it was given. And on the other side of things, he was given one of the worst fouls against a player I've seen in a long time for winning the ball with his head. So these decisions even themselves out over the course of the season. I think McCowan was hard done by in that instance. It was maybe a bit soft in the other way, but these decisions even themselves out.
I don't believe in that, even themselves. No. I just think it's ranked bad officiating, right? I've never been a lover of law of averages and these things even themselves, but I just think you get poor decisions, and my thoughts on referees, they're of a bad standard. And it's funny because as soon as the handball happened, we both turned to each other and went, that's getting given.
Yep.
Because it was the exact same penalty that was given for Celtic.
Against Hearts.
Against Hearts, wasn't it? So, and we knew, despite the delay, we knew Clancy would get the word in his ear.
It was a bit of a weird one, that, actually, because it's the first time I've ever seen that the game has stopped to check VAR.
Yeah.
I don't believe that there was a foul in the build-up to that. I've never ever seen that, and I include English games and games in the Champions League as well. I've never seen a game stopped halfway. I thought the ball was supposed to go. Now, it's just the rules. Maybe it's my interpretation of the rules is wrong, or maybe I just don't know the rules and I need to be clued up on them a little bit more. I thought the game had to stop to go and check for a decision. So I was surprised that the game was halted, and then instantly they went to VAR. I thought the ball had to go out of play, but that's just me.
And he took seconds to decide that it was going to be a penalty.
It was very quick.
So really, really quick. And Kasper Schmeichel, as the manager said, straight off his line. But again, if you're looking at that, then it's consistency, Ryan. Because I believe a certain goalkeeper straight off the line last week, down Govan way, and saved a penalty. And that was deemed okay, wasn't it? I believe. Is that, am my interpretation of that wrong? Or did he still have a foot on the goal line? Somebody can correct me, but lots of people were flagging that up. So it's the consistency you want to see. I've no qualms about that penalty being retaken, because told clearly by the manager as well today, he said he's straight off his line. Fine. Retake, guy scores a goal, fine. But that has to be applied uniformly to all goalkeepers then.
There's a big magnifying glass on referees, and I'm not going to say and sit here and deny that I'm not going to say it's easy for referees. It's not, but they've got the hindsight of VAR and these things to check. You just want that consistency.
Sean McLaren's coming in and saying, no, that's wrong because Butland kept his foot on the line. Fair enough, Sean. I didn't actually see the penalty last week that Hibernian took. I didn't watch the highlights of the Rangers game. I was just going on what people were saying on social media. So that's fine. If that's the case, then fine. I've no qualms about either of those decisions then. If Butland saved that penalty fair and square and he's had his foot on the goal line, that's great, that's fine, well done to him. But Kasper Schmeichel straight off the goal line, so there was
the pressure is back on Rangers tonight. They play St Johnstone. Right now they're currently 8 points behind Celtic. I'm not sure what the exact score is with Aberdeen and Hearts. I should probably have that, and usually I'd get told off for having my phone out, but just checking the score. Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. But where else do you want to go from here? Because we talked about the penalty. Celtic needed a response in the game. They went in at half time, 1-0 down. It was time for them to go and have a bit of a reset. But it wasn't instant, because Engels and Hatate came out for the second half. I thought very easily they could have been subbed off at half time. They gave him 60 minutes, maybe not to dent their confidence even further. But then they made the changes. Those 3 changes, you had Kyogo, who didn't make that much of an impact, but his running was good. Paulo Bernardo, who endeavoured and really did try and make things happen in a forward way. I thought he did more than Hatate or Engels, their contribution. But the real star of the show for me was Mowen and his calmness under pressure. It's a guy that knows grounds like this. He knows how to play in these Scottish grounds. And it's not as if he was just a bit part player for Dundee. He was their captain, he was their leader, and he's taking these leadership qualities from Dundee and interpreting them as a Celtic player and putting them into practice, and that's great to see. And he deserves a start in his next game. Will it come against Aberdeen? I'm not so sure, but he's put himself right in there.
And I'm not surprised, because I rate Mowen very, very highly. If it wasn't for the calibre and class that was in the midfield, and if you're talking about pecking order, is possibly above him in the pecking order, he would have had a great chance of starting against Dortmund. You know, he's somebody who's going to grow into that Celtic jersey, and he will be a fantastic player for Celtic in the next 4 years in the deal that he signed. So just watch this boy grow, because he is living his dream, and you're getting 100% effort and commitment all the time. But this boy came on today and he understood what was required. You know, Celtic had to create chances. They had to get on the front foot, and they had to be a wee bit more clinical with the final pass. And him and Bernardo both provided that, and you know, didn't sulk at the fact that they weren't playing. Came on to make a valid contribution, and it's a valid contribution that lingers in the supporters' eyes and memories, not the fact that Engels and Hatate were poor. They have to mention that, but they're going away saying they're raving about Mowen and Bernardo and the effect that they had and the impact they had in the game.
If Celtic had dropped points today, we would be talking about Engels' performance and saying it's slightly concerning, considering he's had that bad performance during the week and then a bad performance at the weekend, both one in the Champions League and then bringing that back into domestic football as well. But instead of that, that's a great result for Aberdeen if they can keep going. You would expect them to keep it going until the final whistle, especially with the man advantage. Another win for Jimmy Tillan's side at this moment in time. It's a live show. It's a live broadcast. The people that are tuning into this after the broadcast will be like, oh, what are they doing talking about the score? I think we're best going on and talking about the Celtic goals at this point in time.
Yeah.
Because the first goal...
Fortuitous.
It's an ugly goal. It is an ugly goal. I know all goals are great when they're Celtic goals and all that. They all count for the same route, whether you've scored from 35, 40 yards or you've mishit a shot, or a shot's been deflected by somebody's hip into the back of the net. Something changed when that goal went in. They needed something to fall for them, because nothing was falling for them. And you heard the crowd as well. The crowd were instantly in the game with them. I thought the crowd were good all in all today, but they did get a wee bit... They were quiet for a good 5-10 minutes. They needed something to happen. When that equaliser went in, you felt as if, right, the other goal's going to come here. Yes, it took a bit longer than expected, but you felt the shift in the stadium.
You noticed that because Ida cut a very frustrated and forlorn figure, and when he came off, the manager gave him a hug as if to say, wasn't it your day? Nothing broke for you, nothing happened for you. And nothing was happening for Celtic in and around the penalty area. They were overshooting the runway with crosses, just weren't finding it. And to be fair to Ross County, they were very dogged and resolute and determined and got their bodies in front of everything. But that's the one time the ball's fallen to a Celtic player, and Callum McGregor's had a snapshot, and it is wayward. It's going nowhere. But Alistair Johnston's in the right place at the right time, and Celtic get a fortuitous deflection. But we were talking and saying that's probably the only way Celtic were going to get back into the game, by getting a bit of fortune, a bit of luck. But after that, you knew it was going to be one-way traffic, and it was about creating that one chance that was going to win you the game. And Johnston's done that. Well, what a pass to Kuhn. And as I say, Kuhn, you have to really applaud Kuhn for looking up, because Kyogo, you can see from the TV pictures, he's strayed offside. And I would have been so disappointed if Kuhn had played him in and he'd have scored and it'd have been ruled offside. Because you have to have that vision, and it's split-second vision you're talking about. And Kuhn himself, he spoke after the game, and so it's like everything else. It's you're depending on the players to see these things in those moments. And I'm delighted that Kuhn chose the right option, chose to go himself, and buried it with aplomb, really, didn't he?
A stunning finish, actually, and I think you've got to take pressure into it as well. This is one of the last chances of the game for Celtic. A lot is riding on his shoulders at that moment, and he took it with such skill and grace, and it was perfection. He put it in the area of the net that Rodgers just could not get anywhere near.
You saw Rodgers' reaction. He sunk to his knees, didn't he? And just couldn't believe it. And again, it's that manifestation where Rodgers spoke about it as well. They just don't give in. They keep going to the end. It's a Celtic thing. It's, I asked him about these things not happening by accident. It's by design. You can't feel sorry for yourself if it's not happening. And Brendan Rodgers said that to me. Should have told him. There's no easy games. You can't feel sorry for yourself at half time. You've got to go and if it's not happening for you, you've got to make it happen. And so many times, it's just Celtic are synonymous with late goals because it's drummed into those players. You play for that support and you play your heart out till the bitter end. And if it means you're not playing particularly great, you've still got to keep going. And again, it's that kind of resilience that the manager was talking about that's seen them dredge 3 points out the fire again late on. And it breaks the hearts of other teams' opposition. But, long may it continue, because if you've got that in your locker, at least those players are going to give their all. And today was one of those days where, as I say, it wasn't vintage Celtic, it wasn't as free-flowing as it was against St Johnston, but there are some times where winning ugly is equally as better and sweeter than doing what you did to St Johnston the other week.
Yeah. What did you make of Alex Baye's performance today? He made his first league start for Celtic. Obviously, he started against Falkirk in the Premier Sports Cup. For me, in the first half, I thought positionally he looked a wee bit off, and Brendan Rodgers agreed with that in his press conference. He was maybe suspect for the goal, for allowing the player to go down that side. But the second half, I thought he was one of Celtic's most potent weapons, but down that left-hand side.
It's funny, we both noticed that in the first half he had the tendency to stray into Greg Taylor territory, didn't he? Because he's clearly been told to play that inverted role, but not to the neglect of your actual full-back position, right? So he got caught out a couple of times, didn't he? But I think his distribution was fine. And then a couple of times he got to the byline and he had time to measure a decent cross.
He was going round the corner a couple of times as well. There was a nice moment in the second half in particular where he headers it round the corner and then goes with the ball as well. So he's shown different assets and different facets of his game.
I think he's grown into the jersey, and he will grow into the jersey, and he'll become a better player.
He's a slow burner, isn't he? He's a slow burner player.
But I'm seen enough to think, I know why you've come from the academy that you've come from, because you have some skills there and some technique. And I just think he's getting to know his new teammates. He's in a new country. He's obviously getting used to learning the language as well and communicating with his teammates. But there's enough there, and the manager was quite right to give him praise today to say that he thought he did well, because he came right onto a game in the second half. First half, I'll forgive him because it was his first start, and he's still getting to know everywhere. And Dingwall's a tough place to come, and
especially after a European result like that in the week. And then it was a tough game, but Celtic came through it. Not with flying colours, I wouldn't say, but they get the 3 points, and they win the same amount of points that they did last week at McDermott Park. They won 6-0. They played scintillating football, but they had to grind it out today. But they still win the same amount of points. And good teams grind out results, and that's what we're seeing elsewhere in the Premiership. I want to make it official once full time, but good teams win ugly is what I'm trying to say as well. It's all well and good playing good football, playing scintillating football. Sometimes you've got to just win ugly, and that's what Celtic done today. But with a bit of brilliance, a bit of beauty from Nicholas Kuhn.
You can't hit the heights every time. You can't produce St Johnston performances every week. That's what you aspire to, and that's what you aim for. And I'm sure, no doubt, that's what the players aim for. But a lot of those players played in midweek, and it takes a lot out of you mentally and physically. And You talk about that old kind of cliche thing, Euro hangover and all that kind of stuff, but the ones that played today, it affected some of them. It certainly affected Engels. You know what I mean? McGregor, I still thought that he was the better of the midfield.
Almost by default today, although McGregor was good.
It affected Johnston. Trusty as well. It was okay. Scales is a far more confident player than I've ever seen him, demanding the ball, taking the ball, and I think at one point he was involved in one bit where he tried to play too much football in the back corner.
Yeah.
And Ross County not winning the ball. But that apart, Scales is now grasping the nettle and taking the mantle. I think Scales now believes that he belongs in that Celtic back line. And his confidence is surging, he's growing, and I think the manager's clearly said to him, look, you're going to have to be a big player because you're one of the most experienced players in this squad now. And so I feel that Scales has taken that on his shoulders and thought, right, actually puff the chest out and say, right, come on, I'm having it. Because I thought, again, nobody really comes out with any great credit in Dortmund, but I thought Scales was arguably Celtic's best player alongside Maida in that Dortmund disaster. But, today, handball apart, again, he was pretty solid. Because Ross County never threatened in the second half at all. They were never going to score a second goal.
No.
Apart from the one when, was it Hale took a 35-yard speculative effort and Kasper Schmeichel was kind of, that's it, that's all they did. So I credit the backline for that. Trusty's still finding his feet as well. Might take a wee while too. But Scales for me is just, he's came out this season and really hit the ground running. So I think he'll welcome the international break because he'll probably be playing for Republic of Ireland. But he'll certainly welcome the break from club.
Just a bit of a mental refresh as well, and I think that's what players use the international break as. It's a chance for a change of scenery as well. I know some players maybe aren't enjoying what's going on with their club football, and they use international football as a way to get away from that and play games, play regular football. For a lot of these players, although they have been part of a winning side, maybe they've felt it over the past couple of games and they need that break, they need that refresh. I know for Celtic, for some of the players, they won't get much of a break because they'll be going to play against Sligo Rovers. I think that's on Tuesday, is it? Is it this Tuesday? Or I think it might be the following Tuesday, actually. It seems like too much of a quick turnaround, so I think it's a week on Tuesday. So that's an interesting one for maybe some of the fringe players and the B team players to be involved in, as well as some players that might need the fitness in their legs, but that can only be a good thing. That's full time, by the way, with Aberdeen and Hearts 3-2. That sets up a massive game in 2 weeks' time. Aberdeen versus Celtic, or Celtic versus Aberdeen at Celtic Park. It's the biggest game of the season. You could probably say both teams are on 21 points. Somebody has got to drop points. Somebody's got to drop points on that day. Maybe both teams will if it's a draw, but Celtic will be looking to lay down a marker. And it's up to Rangers now as well. They play at 8 o'clock tonight. New manager for St Johnstone. We'll see what happens. But the gauntlet's been put down by both Celtic and Aberdeen. Let's see if Rangers can catch up with the two that are leading the pack at the moment.
It'll be a long couple of weeks before that game comes round, Ryan. But listen, I think it's a good chance for Celtic to refresh, haven't they? They've won 7 out of 7 in the Scottish Premiership. They've won 2 League Cup ties, and they've won a Champions League game and I've lost a Champions League game. So all in all, it's been a terrific start. Performances in the last 2 games have dipped. I think this break is coming at the right time. It didn't come at the right time the last time because they were, on fire. But I think it's coming at the right time this time, just to let everybody refresh and recharge and, just work on a few things that were missing in the last couple of performances. Just delighted to go into the international break with another win. Vital.
Yep.
It is.
Absolutely. And if you want to check out Tony's instant analysis from the game, that is available on the website. If you want to subscribe at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. If you want to support us just that little bit more on the YouTube side of things, you can join our YouTube members channel for just £2.99 a month. You'll receive early video access, priority comments, and exclusive members chat function. There'll also be player ratings coming out in the next half an hour if you're watching live. If you're not watching live and you're catching up with this, then they will be available to you on the website. But thank you to everybody that has watched this today. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we need to talk about. Oh yeah, Tony, you're off for a week starting tonight, starting tomorrow. That's Tony is away from the morning briefing from a week. It's good there's no football on as well, so you're not missing too much. Yes, there still will be an in-depth. I bet you're glad you did that Nicholas Kuhn piece now as well. There's an in-depth Nicholas Kuhn, the sort of making of Nicholas Kuhn piece coming out. So that's really great time, and I think the sooner the better that comes out on the website, to be honest with you. But yeah, it'll be me and Hamish on tomorrow, and potentially Joe as well. I need to double check and ask him, but we will be back to talk about all things Celtic v Ross County, as well as the international break, as well as the season so far and upcoming fixtures as we look ahead to that massive Aberdeen game when we come back a week on Saturday, I believe. But Tony, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we go off the podcast today?
No, I'm just delighted to have signed it off with a win. Wasn't a great performance, but I'll take 3 points any day. Bit of substance over style today, winning ugly, but that's how leagues are won, Ryan. That'll be a crucial 3 points come next May. So just well done to us. These are the times when sometimes the kind of games where you maybe drop points, and on the back of a horrendous European result. So fair play to them. They stuck to their task, and the substitutes had the desired effect and impact on the game.
They did. The subs had the desired effect, and 2 players that were starting the game applied that finishing touch, and Johnston and Nicholas Kuhn Johnston with the assist for the second goal as well. Thank you to everybody that's joined us. We need to now head back down the road to our respective houses, which are over 3 hours away. But we'll go back knowing 3 hours, a point for every hour that we're in the car. 3 points for Celtic this afternoon. Celtic are top of the league, joint on points with Aberdeen at this point in time, but with a far superior goal difference. I believe that Aberdeen have got +9. Celtic have +21. You do the math. Celtic have a lot more goals than Jimmy Tallan's side at the moment. 12. 12. Thank you very much. Quick maths. Maths was never my strong point. Thank you very much, Tony. Human calculator. Appreciate that. I'll be back tomorrow alongside Hamish to discuss everything. Maybe Joe as well might come on, but Joe will be coming on later on in the week as well. Have a couple of guests coming on this week as well. I'm putting out the net far and wide across the Celtic sphere to see if other people can come on the morning briefing. But thank you very much to everybody that's watched this. Have a very good rest of your weekend. Enjoy what other football you're going to watch tonight. And 3 more points for Celtic, 3 points closer to where they want to be at the end of the season. Thanks very much, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day.